Hello viewers, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About It, a talk show by the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency where we talk about the myths, facts, and law on sexual and gender-based violence. My name is Oyinkansola Momo.
And I am Ikudaisi Oluwatobi.
And you already know we are your hosts. So sit up and join the interesting conversation.
SGBV,
Let's talk about it. Today's episode is about legal perspectives, divorce, separation, alternative dispute resolutions, and other legal reliefs available for survivors. And joining us on this conversation today is Mr. Adeoye, a lawyer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Very good to be here.
Welcome,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Adeoye.
Adeoye. Thank you. So this is Let's Talk About It. We talk about everything. And now we want to talk about something that is a hot topic.
Yes.
You know, things like divorce, separation. There's a lot of controversy around these topics. So let's start with defining what domestic violence is, and sharing some common misconceptions about this term.
Thank you very much. Very good question, actually, because I think domestic violence is one of those words or one of those terms that's often misunderstood.
Yes.
And it's very important that we have conversations around it. Of course, the first thing to identify with domestic violence is there's an intimate partnership between two people that are intimate with each other. So what that does is obviously your guards are down and you're vulnerable, and sometimes that's what the abuser, as it were, takes advantage of. So when you see abusive patterns, sort of meted out against your intimate partner, right? It could range from economic abuse, psychological, physical abuse, and it's just important to understand that the closer you are to people might just be the most dangerous you can be to them. So it's when you talk about domestic violence, you're obviously talking about the context of someone you're closest with, particularly an intimate partner. When you talk about the misconception, so a lot of people have ideas that only women go through these things.
Yes.
And it's pathetic, because the truth of the matter is you hardly will find men come out to speak when they suffer it, because it gives people the idea that they are weak. It's almost like they're not strong enough to handle.
You're not man enough.
Exactly. So how do you explain a man coming out to say his wife slapped him?
And he could do nothing.
And he could do nothing, because you're thinking about his physical strength, your muscles. Imagine you went to the gym and you can't handle your wife at home. But it's a lot more than that, because there's an element of dignity from the man. There's an element of not wanting to fall foul of the law. And of course, sometimes there are narratives that don't help men sometimes, because it's just like a rape case. If a woman brings up a rape case in a public place, there's every possibility that the sentiments will veer towards her before you even hear the story from the man. The fact that she just mentioned rape, your lights are already turned on. That this could be true, So that's a very strong misconception. There's some people think it is easy to leave a marriage when you're going through domestic violence, and that's not true. It's really, really difficult. I'm sure the numbers of those that are remaining in abusive marriages are a lot more than those that are left, because if you're married to a narcissistic partner, for example, there's a lot more control they have over you than just being married. And sometimes there are so many factors as to why people stay. So people have religious inclinations. Oh, I don't want to leave my marriage. Even if it's not a divorce.
I cannot.
This is my cross to bear. We're stuck forever.
Yes.
So regardless of whatever you do to me,
Till
I'm just
death
gonna
do us part. Yes.
Yes, those vows, right? So those vows are a way of giving people a sense of people need to appreciate their individuality. At the end of the day, you still got a life to live personally. Just last year, I had two clients, divorce clients, that lost their spouses, that the women clients lost their spouses. And it's interesting that when you lose your spouse, all of the custody maintenance you're fighting for in court, everything
Everything is gone.
now you're left to have the 100% custody. You wanted a lot of it. Maintenance you were seeking from the man, you're going to bear it now.
You go back to being an individual.
So that's a reality check that things could happen in a split second, and everything's gone. So that's another very crucial misconception. So also people think they don't need to speak out. People think they don't need to let anybody know. It's a personal matter. We can handle it.
Let it be a family thing.
Within us. If it goes out, the stigma and all of that.
What will people say?
What people say. Some people say, "Oh, I'll pray about it. I'll pray for him. I'll pray for her." And it reminds me of this. I think it was Osinachi's matter a couple of years ago, and sad as it was, just hearing the things that people around her were saying that she said to them was a source of concern, because we could hear things like she's talking about, "Oh, we'll be fine. I'm still praying for him." Somebody even asked her, "Have you told your pastor?" She said, "No, I don't want to be careful about that.
Need.
We would
You'll sort
find a way
things
around
out."
it." So it's a menace. People need to wake up to the reality that you've got your life to live at the end of the day, and before you married, you had a life, and after you're married, for example, if death happens to your partner, you're still going to have a life. So those are the common misconceptions people have about domestic violence.
Thank you for sharing these misconceptions. They are very common misconceptions. But I want to touch on something that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Narcissism. Right? Can you tell us some narcissistic behaviors to look out for in partners?
All right. So the first thing to want to talk about when you talk about narcissism is, of course, that word is used very loosely.
Very loosely.
The moment your partner even forgets your birthday, it's probably a narcissist.
Or any kind of manipulation, you are a narcissist.
So when I get consultations, one of the first things you hear is, "I think I'm married to a narcissist." I'm like, "Are you
Calm
relaxed?"
down.
Tone it down a bit.
And interestingly, if you speak to the person's spouse, the person's probably calling her a narcissist.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's ridiculous. So it's a personality disorder. It's not just a tag for someone that behaves badly in an intimate relationship. So one of the things that people have to realize is there's a trend. There are symptoms, for narcissists. There are things that you see and you can easily identify. So they have a trend of manipulation, right? And that comes from their grandiose states. It makes them feel good about themselves. So they have an element of control over you. So what that means is I know someone that's reached out to me and said every time they wake up, she's not permitted to do anything. She can't even go pee. She has to come around the bed to him and take a bow.
Oh, my Lord.
Say, "Good morning, my Lord."
Good morning, my Lord.
Exactly.
Wow.
And that's it. That's a routine for her every day. Now, if that was not bad enough, she has a cutoff time. She has a curfew time for work. She has to be home by 6 p.m.
Okay.
So there are cameras in the house.
All right.
And she works in the bank. So obviously, banks obviously close by 4, but there's stuff that these people still have to do. So you see her when it's 4:30. All her colleagues know already. So she just picks her bag and she doesn't even drive. So she has to run and she has to go to by 6. So if she doesn't get to by 6, if Lagos traffic can't even happen to her. It's not permitted to happen to her. So that kind of life, those are the trends, those are the symptoms, as it were, you see with a narcissist. They have an over-possessive behavior.
Okay.
right? They want you to themselves and themselves alone. So they would ostracize you from your family, from friends. They could tell you not to take that job because, I mean, I've heard stuff like, oh, don't take that job. There are lots of men in that industry. You know, they might be looking at you and stuff like that. So narcissists, and sometimes even when we see narcissists in courts, it's amazing that they can transfer their tendencies to their lawyers. You know, sometimes they are one of the tactics you see that they want to stretch the matter in court, particularly if you filed against them. So a narcissist, you know, wants to control you even when you want to leave them, even when you're not within the same physical location
Domain, yeah.
they still want to control you. So a narcissist will slip in messages to you, you know, that would bring out a lot of
They want
vile
your
words.
reaction.
They want a reaction. So that's what makes them happy. That's what gives them satisfaction. That's what makes their ego grow.
It's like they're pulling your strings, right? And they love to
And
pull
they
your
know the
strings.
words to use to get those things out of you.
Wow.
So it is very easy, and this is another misconception I forgot to mention. A lot of people think domestic violence is just physical. And it is interesting to note that, in fact, the emotional abuse side, you know, I mean, I'm not even legislating that physical is any better. I'm not comparing any, you know, type of abuse. But for physical, I mean, if your eye swells,
You know that it is
you can
the
go
eye
to the
that,
clinic
yeah.
and treat it, and it comes down, right? But you see that emotional abuse. In fact, before I talk about financial, that one is crazy as well. Emotional abuse, you die slowly,
and quietly.
quietly.
Sometimes you don't even know you're dying.
You don't know
Because
So,
there's no detection. You
in
don't
fact,
know.
I can if I tell you that for someone that dies in an accident, for example, on Third Mainland Bridge, what the whether it's autopsy or forensics will say is, oh, overspeeding. Nobody knows the state of mind that person was before the person left the house. So sometimes the real forensics or the real issues could be what the person is going through in marriage.
And that's what led to the
A
second.
lot of people, and I mean, when you look at the lifespan, what's the average span in Lagos? You hear 55 in Lagos. In other countries, you hear 90, you hear 80,
75,
75.
yeah.
But it's 55 in Lagos. Why? Because, you know, the domestic abuse people go through within their walls. I mean, that's why all over the world, the COVID period was, you know, at the highest rate for divorces. In fact, we have not recovered from the post-COVID divorce, you know, syndrome. It's so rampant because people spent more time
Together.
at home, and you will have thought that will have helped the marriage because
It just revealed
reveals so
many
many
things.
sides to you, and you know that's when you're seeing your husband's or your wife's phone pop up with that message because you wouldn't have seen it. You know, if you're active and all of that. So when you're dealing with narcissists, you have to recognize all of the angles when it comes to abuse. There's physical abuse, there's emotional abuse. Somebody calls you, you're a fat for nothing pig. Nothing can come
You're
out of
good for
you.
nothing.
If I heard this one, which would seem very. Somebody says, "Oh, sex with you is a chore." You know, things like that. So imagine someone saying those things to you repetitively. You
Breaks
know,
you down.
and he leaves those dumps. So you find people losing their self-esteem, their
Yeah.
self-worth, their confidence. I know people that call me and they say, "Lawyer, you need to ask my friends how I was before I married this man." You know, because there's a way he erodes yourself. It changes, you know, how
The
you see
persona,
life.
yeah, of
And it
that
happens
person.
Slowly, day by day. Some people in their heart of hearts want their partners dead. Like if they got a call at home that your husband or wife on her way home passed,
They'll be so happy.
I'm telling you,
It's like a way out, an easy way out.
it's an easy way out. So that's the problem. So sometimes people are so invested in their marriages that they forget that there's an element to themselves as individuals. And the most important thing about domestic violence is you need to protect yourself.
Yourself.
And protecting yourself is not limited to just leaving the location. because there's a mental health protection as well. People are literally running mad.
Yes.
You know, I was
On
listening
a
to
daily.
I was listening to a pastor that came to our church, I think a couple of Sundays ago, and he says if we're not careful, the psychiatric hospitals would have more attendees there than the regular hospitals. Now that seems that's very accurate.
Yes.
Because we're in a
Yes.
world right now where you have to protect your mental health. And that starts with how you deal with your intimate partner. So narcissism is a very important aspect of domestic violence. Because the way they go about it sometimes is not just as straight as physical abuse. You might be with someone that would never lay a finger on you. But the things that he does, they
Without
are
laying
way
that
worse
finger.
than that. And like we said, people are dying early because they cannot detect, what. Some people don't even know what abuse is. Some people don't know what abuse is.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
It's just normal to them.
It's normal to them. I mean, I knew a lady I met and she says, this is a single lady now. She says, if she doesn't have a man that nags at her, she doesn't feel normal. Because she thinks that, that control, that
makes him a
the
man.
masculinity, that's when you show that, you
I've heard this
you
a
have
lot as
authority
well,
over
yeah.
me. You can't just tell me, oh, sorry, babe, it's fine, let's get
Shout
it right.
at me.
Shout.
Show
That's
me you're a man.
That's my
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
That's how she feels good when she hears that. So,
Oh wow.
narcissism is an area that people have to look
Pay
out for.
attention to. And you mentioned this grandiosity. You mentioned
Yeah.
manipulation.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
then
it's
you
about
also
how they feel.
mentioned- Yeah, you also
It's about how they
mentioned
feel.
control.
Yes,
which
control.
is so important.
Those
to
are the
point
key
out
words:
too.
manipulation, control, and
That
grandiosity.
grandiosity.
Yes, just to boost their ego. That's what they always want to do, regardless of what happens to you. So they don't care
more about
what happens to
themselves.
you. It's how it makes them feel. So once they feel good about themselves, it doesn't matter what
Yeah.
happens to you.
And sometimes they
Even if
do
you're in tears.
sweet things to you to make themselves feel better.
We call that love bombing.
Yeah,
So
love
you
bombing.
And
see,
it spans for a short period of
Short
time.
period.
Yes.
Especially when they notice they are losing control. And
Yes.
they want to get you back.
oh, I had a celebrity call me one time.
Okay.
And she mentioned a situation to me, and it was really bizarre because she chatted me on my page, and looking at her page, obviously you know how celebrities are. They're always all about the pomps and pageantry and all those things. And it was very light-skinned woman. I mean, but when she showed me pictures, I like social media because they're behind the scenes. When she showed me, we lawyers have access to the behind the scenes. When she showed me pictures of her eyes swollen, and sometimes she has to wear shades too. And for you think it's fashionable, but she's covering the marks from last week. So she tells me all of those things. She's married to a footballer. She tells me all of those
You're
things.
giving us details.
Nah,
You
of
know,
course you-
social media.
You
hey,
can't
by
know the
the
person's
time,
name. No.
by the time people start digging,
Yeah.
let's just.
So yeah, no, why don't we show you names? Okay, so what I'm trying to bring out from this is the day she spoke to me about this thing, she told me she was done. Oh Lord, I'm done. Like I just want when can we file? Can we file tomorrow? I'm like, oh sure, we can. And it would interest you to know that evening she got a Chanel bag from the guy. The guy was out of the country. He had obviously beaten her a few days ago, and sometimes people are making these divorce decisions by impulse, by how they feel. Something happened yesterday,
And they just
and
want
they want
it.
to leave the marriage.
Leave marriage
today.
the next
So she got a Chanel bag because she mentioned it to me afterwards. She didn't call me back the next day,
Everything was fine.
and that's a $3,000 bag. So that is the control they have.
Yeah, so they love bomb to
Oh,
control and get you
they-
back where they want you to be.
So when you get them, when they get you back to the position where they want you
The
to
suffering
be,
continues.
they abuse.
The abuse.
So by the
continues.
time you're trying to, get your head out of the water,
They,
you love bomb again. So it's
Strike
a
again.
tactic, it's a trend.
that is the long-term manipulation.
Exactly. And once they can shut the people that you can talk to, because one of the things that we need to talk about when talking about this domestic violence is support. People don't understand what support system is. some people think people will be prying into my business if I mention certain things to them, or there's lack of trust, or we're in a society where there's stigmatization, right? Because you're going through issues in your marriage, you don't want people to know. It's sad. Some people don't go to their mosques again. Some people go to their churches again. Once something happens in the marriage, they change church.
Yeah.
They change place of worship, because they don't want to be seen in the way. I mean, one top counselor in Abuja called me. I said she wanted to file a divorce, and one of the things that she said that really touched me was, she's so sad how people will view her, going forward, because she's counseling a lot of people, and a lot of people look up to her, from church to the secular world. But she says, "Lawyer, I have to do this. Except I'm choosing to just lay down my life for the name that I have, or for the reputation I built." And she got to that place after a lot of fighting within her, and that's the truth about it. Something has to give.
Something has
Something,
to give.
or when you talk about domestic violence, something has to give. You need to determine what gives, and most times it's important to choose you. Interestingly, domestic violence is not limited to those that are married.
Yes.
Even those that are dating in relationships, it would amaze you
Yes.
that boyfriend girlfriends are actually expressing domestic. It's
Top tier domestic
I got a
violence.
call from a lady. Our wedding was coming up that Saturday. So imagine, she calls me on Tuesday. "Oh, the lawyer, I want to book a consultation." I'm like, "Okay." So I hear the things she's talking about, and I'm used to people that are in marriage that want to leave calling me. But this one is someone that's about to marry. So I say, "You know what, I need to see you. I don't want to talk on the phone. We need to see." We talked for 3 hours. And she told me how abusive this her partner was to her. And one of the things that her partner does is to take her nude pictures or nude videos. So
Revenge porn.
Oh yes. So what he does is he threatens her. Whenever she does anything nasty, he threatens her, "I'm going to put it out. I'm going to show your parents." So her parents are pastors in one of these Orthodox churches.
Wow.
And they don't really know her lifestyle. So every time he threatens her with that, she just aligns. She aligns and just submits to whatever he wants to do. Now, she reached out to me and said, the whole set, invitations out, we're wedding this Saturday, let's go. I talked to her for 3 hours. I begged her. I said, "These things you're telling me are things I hear from those that are married and want to leave. You're one of the first, persons coming to me about a marriage you're about to get into. Call off the marriage. Send a mail to everybody. Send a broadcast message for unforeseen circumstances or moving the date. Maybe turn off your phone for a week and just get everything out." Guess what? People that attend weddings never even remember a wedding.
They don't remember.
And the next day,
They talk about it and move on.
they probably have a wedding next Saturday. But of course, your guess is as good as mine. The wedding went ahead, and she's not called me since then. Maybe she's just
That's what happens.
That's what happened.
You talked about support system. You talked about protecting yourself. Now, to facilitate access to justice and other legal protections, what do you advise survivors of SGBV to do when domestic violence occurs? What are the steps to take?
All right, the first thing you should do, which, to be honest, doesn't even cost you anything, just get out of the place.
Just get out of the
Get
place.
out of the location, because
Earlier you said there are some people that they know they should get out.
yes,
But they just don't know how.
yeah, they're sieged. That home, because when you have a home that you come to every day, there's a haven feeling. It's almost like a coven. It's almost
Familiar to them.
Yes. So you have an attachment with that home or with that house. So when things
Even
happen,
with that person, no matter
With
how
that person.
toxic the person is.
so when things happen, sometimes leaving is the last option, and that's the problem. So when you make leaving the last option, when you think, I know someone that sleeps with a knife under a pillow.
Wow.
As protection.
Yes, and that's a survival mechanism for her, because she thinks I mean, is it credible? Because I'm just thinking, I was able to sleep, really sleep.
Yeah, you cannot sleep.
Because-
you should be sleeping with one eye open because
Honestly, and that's why when you watch all of these crime series, particularly abroad, you see that when somebody dies, the first suspect is always the partner.
always the
The
partner.
partner, yeah.
So
The
after
person
you
closest to you.
after you finish crying before the police, and they now begin to ask you questions.
Yeah, so where
Where
were
were
you
you?
that night? And then the policemen start looking at each other like,
Yeah, they're not falling for all of those.
all those your
because
crying antics.
They found out that a lot of times, the easiest person to kill you is your spouse. Someone that you sleep next to and just snore. It's very easy to take your life. I mean, someone that cooks food for you, it's easy. And most times what we've found is that there's always a third party that initiates that action.
The action.
So when people kill their partners, it's always because they probably met somebody outside, or there's someone outside threatened by their union and stuff. So it's very important to understand that you don't get too familiar with your home. You can be familiar, but don't get too familiar to a point where your familiarity,
keeps you stuck.
It keeps you stuck, and you are in quotes thriving in toxicity. You're trying to maintain, and so people need to learn that the first thing you do when you are abused is to leave, because what leaving does is it allows you to think of the next action.
Yes.
Only leaving can file a divorce or separation. You can't file nothing if you're dead or if you're in the hospital. I mean,
Yes,
you're limited.
yes. And
So-
they need to understand that leaving doesn't mean you are divorced or you are separated. It's
Absolutely.
just for you to get away from harm's
Yes.
way.
Then process all of those things and look for probably the next line of action.
The first thing leaving does is
Leave.
it allows you to think.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
okay.
I mean, it's just like you being in a clustered environment. It's difficult for you to innovate. Just get out.
So just get out from that
Get out
unsafe space
from
to
that unsafe
somewhere
space.
safe.
Get somewhere safe. That's the first thing. The
Sef-
next thing you want to do is you need to be accountable.
Okay.
So what that means is you're talking to someone about it. Now, it depends on the degree of the abuse. If it's abuse that is bordering on obviously physical abuse, that is a threat, a direct threat to your life, then of course you need to speak to the police. And this is where people need to realize that this is not the time not to believe in the police system in Lagos State. This is not the time to say, oh, they just
They do
act,
anything.
they do anyhow. No, they are not really our friends. No, because some people buy that lie and they stay in their marriages and get stuck there. So they don't want to go to the police because police matters. They will ask for money.
It will be complicated.
It will be complicated.
Yeah.
It will drag. No, speak to the police, because one of the first things that the police does is to invite the abuser, and restraining orders can be issued. So there's a way that the law can protect you, so that the abuser doesn't have any proximity with you within a particular distance. To say,
Okay.
listen, you can't be around this person, within this particular radius. That's possible. So before you think about going to seek restraining order from the courts, which might take
Time.
time,
Go to the police.
go to the police. There are police restraining orders that can literally stop the person there. And guess what? The person can be arrested. All right? The person can be charged to court. People don't know those things. So people need to think less of the stress. Because if you compare the stress you go through, the supposed stress you go through reporting this case, if you compare it to the stress you've been through your marriage for 4 or 5 years, it's not compared.
Yeah.
And people are afraid of the abuser. They are afraid of the abuser. They fear what the abuser will do after the report. That's another
Yeah,
thing.
that's
because-
another-
yes,
yeah.
Because they'll
the
be looking over their
consequences.
shoulders.
Yes.
Going to the mall, I mean, there's a
Yes.
factor of having the children. That's another thing we need to talk about. The children with you sometimes can be a reason why you stay in a toxic marriage.
Yeah.
I've heard people tell me that I can't leave this marriage right now because of the children. All right? Because of these children, though. it's because of these children. Even not for these children, and for not come out. That's what you hear. But
True.
the reality is, if you die, these same children will be with this abuser. So you cannot look out for children when you've not looked out for yourself.
So the first thing to do
Is
is
to
to look
look
out for
for
Look out for yourself.
Leave temporarily.
In fact, sometimes, even if I don't like to advise it, you need to plan a sneaky way of doing it. So,
Yes,
If it
if your life
requires
is
you-
at risk, of course.
yes, if it requires you taking
Be
your children to a safe
strategic.
place
Yes.
when the man has gone to work or the woman has gone to work, you can do it.
For
You
your
can-
safety,
for
for
your
their safety. Yes.
Then you take action. So you don't just do that, because that would seem like desertion, like you're deserting the marriage, and he might want to create an upper hand with that. So when you take those actions, you're moving. Make sure that a report is made.
Immediately. So leave, be accountable.
Yes.
Okay,
And-
that's police report. Okay.
You need to report. So once you report, what that does is another person knows.
Yeah.
And most of the times, the abuser just calms down, because he knows that, because the
There
plan
is
of the
no more
abuser is,
isolation. There is no more secrecy.
I just want
Not-
this between you and
And
I.
I.
Because once it's between you and I,
There's
I
a
can
third party
control how you
involved.
feel.
Yeah.
But once there's a third party, even if it's the parents of the abuser or your own parents, the fact that somebody else knows
It
has a way
disarms
of
them. Yes.
exactly. So it's important to know all those components. Then divorce isn't the only option. People need to
Yeah, I
realize
was going
that.
A
to
lot
ask.
of people
I was
think
going to ask.
once
Yes.
it happens, just leave the woman, just leave the man. A lot of people make it the only option. So this is why you are here.
Yeah.
Tell us, what are the other options available?
All right, so there are many other options.
Okay, tell us a few.
Judicial separation is one of it.
Okay, what is
So what that
judicial
means,
separation?
yes. So judicial separation is not just you staying apart from your spouse. It is by pronouncement of court. That means the court must order it. So you can file for judicial separation as
Okay.
opposed to filing for divorce.
For divorce. Okay.
So sometimes judicial separation is to buy time, particularly when you probably still believe in the marriage, or it's a temporary arrangement you want to make to just get some sanity and just be in a safe place. Some people are not mentally ready to go through a divorce, so they just want to be apart from the abuser, just to have some time to think and do other things with life. So there's ADL.
Okay.
All right. I mean, people go to welfare offices these days where
Yeah.
they call both parties, and they hear from this side, they hear from this
the
side,
side.
and sometimes they make out a memorandum of understanding, which both parties sign. Of course, sometimes people don't follow through, but sometimes people do.
Yeah.
So
So it's
ADL
also
works.
an option.
Counseling,
Judicial.
therapy. So the challenge with counseling and therapy is most times the abusers don't subscribe to it.
Yes. So they
Because
won't
that's
show
when you
up.
hear things like what do they want to say that I
Because
don't
it
know.
must be
don't know.
voluntary, so they won't show up.
They won't
Yes.
show up. So it must be voluntary. But those are options you can deploy.
Okay, these two options: judicial separation,
Yes.
ADL.
ADL.
Yes.
So now we know that divorce is not the only option.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean that, so domestic violence happening in your marriage does not mean that it is the end of the marriage.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? That
Doesn't.
is what we're saying. It doesn't
Doesn't.
mean it's the end of the marriage. Now, to wrap up,
Yes.
because we've said a lot about different things. To wrap up, if you could talk to, and I know you talk to many DV survivors.
Yeah.
If you could talk to one person right now that is watching us, what would you say to him or her? This person is experiencing domestic violence right now. What is your message to that person?
All right. So the most important thing to recognize is there's nothing more important in life than you. Not your spouse, not your parents, sorry to say, not your children. You are the most important person in your life. So as much as possible, you must protect yourself. You must protect yourself like your life depends on it, because it actually does. So I will say this. No one knows when your marriage is to end other than you. Not your pastor knows, not your imam knows, not your counselor knows, not even your lawyer knows. I tell people that come for counseling, you are the one that knows when your marriage is done, when you've had it up to here. So while I might not advise you to just get a divorce and get out of the marriage, this is what I say: make divorce the last resort. Attempt other options. Try counseling. Try therapy. Suggest, reconciliatory procedures. Speak to family. Don't just hop and leave. Don't hop out of the marriage. All right. It's important that you find strength within yourself. And when you have tried all of this and nothing has changed, then it's okay to leave. It's absolutely okay to leave. All right. So choose you. Choose you. You're the most important person to you. Choose you. Without you, there'll be no them.
Thank you very much,
Wow.
Mr. Adeoye. So you see, you said it all. But then, viewers, I'm going to leave you with this phrase. This phrase is by the Executive Secretary of the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency. And she says, every domestic violence case is a potential murder case.
True.
So we tell you, protect yourself like your life depends on it, because your life actually depends on it. This is Let's Talk About It. See you next week.